Hey guys, it's Courtney. Thank you for joining me. If you're watching this video, you probably have read the rest of my blog post, so therefore you have a little bit of a background knowledge of the content I've been discussing, but I'm still going to do a brief overview to reestablish why exactly I feel it's so important to limit our dependency on technology. So recently, the FDA has just passed a new weight loss device, which is important because this is the first time that this has happened since 2007. So that means that it's been 10 years since the FDA has approved a new weight loss device. The new device is a Maestro rechargeable device, that's what it's called, and it involves two lead implants that are put into the stomach of the person, accompanied by a regulator device, and basically it sends electrical impulses to the vagus nerve, which prevents the body's stomach from expanding and therefore like wanting more food. So that's just kind of how it works. I thought that was really interesting and really cool, but I did think it was interesting that it took about 10 years for this to be passed. So that kind of says that the FDA thought that this was a very important thing for new developments to be being made in. So I thought that was really interesting. So the other thing that I have talked about in my blog post, and all of the stories are linked. If you read the rest of the blog post, you can find the links to the full stories on these, but I came across a story stating that Apple does not want their products to be regulated by the FDA. And in fact, they're doing everything that they can to make sure that they're not regulated by the FDA, which is understandable because I guess that would mean more restrictions on them, which would make their lives more complicated. But I just thought that that was interesting and honestly a little bit concerning because to me that says, what is Apple doing that they don't want the FDA to know about? And so that's just something I've sort of been thinking about. Additionally, I feel that it's very interesting that the FDA thinks that it's so necessary for them to regulate things like weight loss devices, and they're willing to pass that, put that into action, but they don't think that it's important enough for them to regulate the health apps that Apple uses, and millions of people use these already, but yet they don't feel that it's important enough for them to be involved in the regulation of those health apps. So, most of this argument as to why the FDA is not regulating Apple's health apps comes back to Apple and the fact that they don't want anything to do with the FDA. Um, and Apple's argument for this is that they sort of have a moral obligation to be doing more in terms of mobile health out of moral concern. So basically, what they're saying is since they have millions and millions of users, they feel that it would be wrong for them to not take a more involved influence in the health of their users, which brings up a very interesting question. So, the third story that I came across this week that sort of throws a wrench into all of this as well is that the a lot of the health apps, such as Fitbit and the health app that Apple has that all of Apple's phones come equipped with, are not actually as accurate and effective at recording data and everything that as they claim to be. So again, I have the full link to that full article in the rest of the blog post, but basically what that sort of made me think about is the question of, is it morally wrong for big tech companies such as Apple and such as Fitbit to be not doing what they can to help the health of their users and of these individuals, or is it more wrong for them to promote the technology that they do have as more accurate than it actually is? So that just kind of puts technology at the forefront of whether or not, I guess, of how much we should be relying on it and how much influence it should have on our lives. And that's sort of something that I personally have been evaluating throughout the process of this class, is that I don't think that we should let technology have too much of a role in our lives to begin with. I think that we should have it be a tool, but not be too reliant on it. So, as I was just saying, the Journal of American Medical Association put out a statement basically saying that health trackers are effective in that they can supply people with the data and like the concrete evidence that may be motivating factors, but that they are not very effective long term at making people stick to exercise regimens or making them stick to changing their health behaviors. And that's something that I think is pretty much exactly the way that I view technology, which is that if you use it correctly, it can be a resource, but it's not, the technology itself is not going to motivate us to change. And I think that that's where our society is going wrong with technology, is that we're turning to it to make us want to change our lives for the better, and that's just not going to happen. You can buy a new Fitbit or you can buy an Apple Watch, and for a couple of months, it can be great because it can, like you can join challenges with your friends, and they can boo you and motivate you or cheer you and all of that. But what you really need is to have motivation to change for yourself. So you need to, at the end of the day, when the shininess of the Fitbit wears off and when, everyone leaves the competitions or whatever else, you need to have the motivation to stick to your workout plan and stick to your diet or whatever else it is because you want to better yourself. So in summation, I think that we should view technology as a resource, but we should not look to it to supply us motivation or validation or happiness, because that's what a lot of people turn to social media for. And you can't rely on technology to make you feel good about yourself. We should use it as a resource, not as a motivating factor or anything like that, because that's something that needs to come from within yourself. You should not look to technology to make your life better. You should look at it as something that you can use to make your life better, but but really what you need to do is look inwards towards yourself in order to make that happen. So that's kind of where I am at for this week. Thank you guys for watching my video. Feel free to share it or give it a thumbs up and check out the rest of my blog posts. I will put a link to my full website down below so you can check out more of my thoughts. And let me know what you think too in the comments. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you guys later.